Hi, we're back with companion builds for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous Unfair Difficulty, and today we're going to take a look at that second Woljif build, this time a tank and damage dealer Woljif. If you are new to the series and don't know how we do our builds, they are all made for unfair difficulty and none of them exploit bugs, so they should all remain viable despite any bug fixes or patches made to the game. It's also worth mentioning that all my builds are tested from early to late levels. They are not made just for the sake of YouTube videos. I do them firstly for my own unfair playthroughs, and it's very important to me that they are actually effective at every level in the game, so I can actually get through with my playthroughs and not just remain the helm of theory crafting. Because this is a turn-based system, but the game is real time with pause, sometimes builds don't go as I'd expect them, and that's why I think the testing is important, so I can both bring you the best builds and actually be able to beat the game on unfair difficulty, which is my main goal. With all that out of the way, let's get to our builds. For our first level up into Woljif, we're going to go for Alchemist, Vivisectionist. Not only this increases our sneak attack damage, but also gives us a mutagen, which increases our attack, damage, and also our AC by a total of 4. We are also going to get the shield spell for an extra +4 to our AC. Our ability points are going to go mostly into dexterity, until the last ability point, which is going to go into Constitution. So as I already mentioned, the most important spell here is Shield for that +4 bonus to your AC. On our level 5, we take another multi-class, this time into Witch. We're going to choose Dodge as our level 5 feat for a +1 bonus to AC, and as our familiar, we're going to take Lizard for a +1 natural armor bonus to AC. The Patron isn't relevant to this build, and our Hex is going to be Icy Plant. This is a +2 natural armor bonus to AC, made a +4 after you get the Icy Protector Ring, which can be bought at Act 1. For our Witch spells, the most relevant for us are Mage Armor and Reduce Person. Both of those can increase our AC. You can see our fully buffed AC at level 5 hits a 42, and when fighting defensively we can get it up to a 45. Here some buffs are not self-cast, for example Bark Skin, Magical Vestments Armor, Shield of Faith and Cat's Grace were not self-cast, though most of those can be easily found in potions, and at the end of the day, even with just self-cast buffs, we can still hit a 40 AC when fighting defensively, so this build can, by itself, without the help of companions, still be an effective tank. The only thing I recommend you do have from companions is Protective Luck, as it makes tanking on unfair difficulty a much easier task. Now let's see how Woljif does in some actual combat. Here, we are fighting a Cambion and 2 Babals. And you will be able to see, where is the Babal's attack? Here it is. The Babal is only able to hit us on a 20, and because we are using Protective Luck cast by Camellia, the Babal actually has only a 1 in 400 chance of hitting us. Babals are usually some of the scariest enemies offensively in this game, and not even then stand a chance against us. The Cambion, because he doesn't have that high AC, is not that hard for us to kill. Our chances to hit are not too bad, though the Babals will only be able to hit on a 20, so only a 5% chance. Still much higher than their 1 in 400 chance of hitting us. With your party close by able to take down the Babals while you tank, you should have a very easy time in really any fight in this early game. From level 6 forward, we're going to take some levels into the Magus Sword Saint class. It's mostly because of the Canny Defense feature, which gives us our intelligence bonus to AC. So at level 6 we take our first Magus level, at level 7 we take Improved Unarmed Strike as a feat, at level 8 we get a choice of Magus Arcana for Arcane Accuracy. At level 9 we take Outflank as a feat. At level 10 we get a choice of Magus Bonus feat for Crane Style. This reduces our penalty to attack when fighting defensively and increases our bonus to AC. At level 11 we take Combat Mobility because this is a prerequisite for the Duelist Prestige class, and we also take Prescient Attack as a Magus Arcana. Now this is going to be our last Magus Sword Saint level for now, and we are going to go into Duelist at level 12. Here we get at level 1 Canny Defense, the same as the Magus, and they both stack. And we also get Precise Strike, which is a nice bonus to damage. At level 13 we get Crane Wing as a feat for even more AC when fighting defensively, and we also get the Duelist Parry feature, which is a way to get some extra attacks of opportunities later on, and you should mostly use parry self and not parry others. At level 14 we only get Enhanced Mobility, at level 15 we get Improved Critical Daggers as a feat, and as a bonus from Duelist we get Combat Reflexes and also Grace, which is not terrible. At level 16 we get Riposte, which now allows us to get attacks of opportunity against enemies with parry. At level 17 we get Crane Riposte, which reduces the penalty to attack when fighting defensively and gives us yet another means of getting attacks of opportunities against enemies. And we get Acrobatic Movement, which is not the best. And at level 18, our last Duelist level, we get Elaborate Defenses, which is great as another bonus to AC. Now we go back to Magus Sword Saint for our last 2 levels. At level 19 we get Seize the Moment as a feat, and some Magus features that are not too relevant, but Lightning Draw is really good for us. For our Mythic levels, we start with Last Stand as it's amazing for any tank and increases our survivability by a lot. At level 2 we take Archmage Armor, and now we have a scaling AC with our Mythic levels. At Mythic rank 3 we take Enduring Spells, followed by Greater Enduring Spells at Mythic level 4. Because we only get up to a caster level of 8 in our Magus, it's very important that we are able to extend our spells to 24 hours, otherwise they would last just only 8 minutes. At Mythic rank 5 we take Ever Ready. Because we are a Duelist, we should be able to get attacks of opportunities even more often than usual because of our parry ability. At Mythic rank 6 we take Elemental Barrage. I'm not a fan of this Mythic ability, I think it's way too powerful, but because we are a Magus and can take advantage of that, I do recommend you take it for the purpose of this build. But if like me you don't find this ability fun to play and find it way too overpowered, you can easily just take instead Mythic Sneak Attacker here. At Mythic rank 7 we take Leading Strike for some extra damage. Mythic rank 8 is Improved Critical Mythic Dagger. At Mythic rank 9 we take Abundant Arcane Pool, so we are able to use our Magus Arcanas, especially Prescient Attack, as often as possible. And at Mythic rank 10 we take Weapon Focus Mythic Dagger. Our spell list doesn't have anything too important in those first 3 classes, but you can cast Mage Armor as a rogue, True Strikes as an alchemist, and as a witch there's nothing really relevant aside from the Mage Armor as well. As a Magus we have some decent spells. Shield is of course great for that +4 AC. Reduce Person is not bad, though I think this build does much better with legendary proportions or even a large person because of the way size interacts with our parry mechanic. And of course True Strike, so you can get some hits in even against enemies with very high AC by using your spell combat. At level 2, the most important spell is certainly Mirror Image. It's a very powerful defensive spell which you should be using in most fights. And for level 3, we have Haste, which increases our AC and is also a very powerful offensive spell. And we also get to cast Blink, which, even though it gives us a 50% miss chance against enemies, it also gives spells a 50% chance to fail against us. So against some harder fights, especially bosses that have strong spells, this can be a lifesaver. For our equipments, we have in our head slot a +6 to intelligence. This is extremely powerful for us because we do get bonuses from intelligence to our AC because of our duelist and swordsman classes. For amulet, I'm just using a regular bonus to natural armor. If you have someone able to cast Barkskin, you can use something else instead. For our cloak, I'm using White Wind's cloak. This is extremely powerful for duelist, giving us a +4 competence bonus while parrying, and also increasing our precise strike damage, which was only a quarter of our duelist level, to 1.5 our duelist level, making it for this build a 10 extra damage in all our attacks. For our belt, I'm using just a +6 to dexterity, because dexterity does increase both our attack, damage and AC. For ring, I'm using the same from Act 1, Ice Protector, and also the Ancestral Retribution, which I did cover on my best items video, and this gives the ability to push an enemy and make them prone, giving your party the chance to get attacks of opportunities against that enemy, which is extremely powerful. And for weapon, my favorite one is Merciful Fate. This is a living Bane dagger, meaning it does 2d6 extra damage against any living enemy. The other effects are not that relevant, but being a living Bane is my main reason for choosing this weapon. Now let's take a look at how this build does on high level combat. Oh, I don't want my entire party here, just Woljif. Let's go in and get some hits against those enemies. We are not with only self buffs here. This build does require some help from companions to get to a high enough AC to be effective, and you can see our first hit made the enemy prone. And we had a little bit of lag, but we are back. And we do not have the highest chance to hit, but when we use our Prescient Strike, we get a much higher chance. You could already see some hits coming in here, a critical even, dealing over 100 damage. And our hits, the chance is not low. You can see here we get a 36 to attack, but with very little buffs. And our damage is also not bad because of the sneak attack and precise strike. We get several attacks and several ways to trigger attacks of opportunities, which are even stronger than our regular attacks. And it's also worth mentioning that you can see here our AC, it is at a 92. And it's not the highest. There are enemies that are able to hit around the 90s in AC in unfair difficulty, but I do think this is good for a duelist because we do have the Crane Riposte feat, which makes so that if enemies miss us by just a 4, we get an attack of opportunity against them, making us do even more damage than usual. And here I'm not using the Elemental Barrage by using my arcane weapon because, as I said, I do not like to use it. I think it's too strong, but it would almost double our damage output per hit. And you can see our survivability is very good, and we do some decent damage. And the best part about this build is the ability to push enemies, make them prone, and trigger attacks of opportunity from our allies. So I think this is it for this Woljif build video. As always, let me know in the comments if you liked it. If you have any suggestions or improvements in this build, I'd also love to hear them in the comments. But until the next video, I hope you have a good time.